Just as a quick introduction to Lafarge, Lafarge is one of the largest building material supplier companies in the world, operating in over 78 countries with 78,000 employees, producing materials that are crucial for infrastructure and to enable economic growth, housing, mobility, health and education. And Lafarge was one of the founding members of the World Business Council for Sustainable Development. We also partnered with WWF in 2000 and set many targets, including voluntary CO2 reduction targets, way ahead of the emissions trading schemes both in UK and in Europe. And we set out 4 years ago sustainability ambitions for 2012 with targets for the whole group worldwide on all the areas of sustainability. And these are reported back on an annual basis and consulted with in terms of a panel of external stakeholders. In the context of Lafarge Cement UK, we are the largest manufacturer of cement in UK with operations throughout the whole of UK itself. We employ about 1,000 employees. Sustainability is at the core of all our Lafarge operations, and we actually report both as a separate organisation through our sustainability reports, but also as part of the group initiative in terms of meeting sustainability ambitions. We have a dedicated working group that drive sustainability within the organisation in Lafarge Cement UK, and also a steering group that consists of the whole executive board of Lafarge Cement UK, with also representation from our corporate executive as well. In terms of making sure that sustainability is not just a top-down or middle management process, we have many systems in place to actually capture ideas and best practices to ensure that any good practices in the range of sustainability are shared both within our own business unit but also worldwide within the Lafarge Group. In addition, we have over 40 external stakeholders. These include customers, UK government, industry associations, suppliers and NGOs. To name but a few, we have BIS, the Environment Agency, CBI, English Nature, Staffordshire Wild Trust and many more. We meet on an annual basis and to actually discuss KPIs, targets that we set, and also to get a critique on our sustainability report before we publish it. We believe in taking a holistic approach to sustainability, not only looking at trying to continually reduce the impact of our existing operations, but also to make sure when one of our operations closes, it leaves an asset for the local community. A good example of this is the Blue Water Park shopping centre in Kent. It's one of UK's largest shopping centres, and we could have quite easily just closed the quarry and made it into a recreational area, but we identified that there was a severe shortage of employment in the area. There was very poor road infrastructure, and we worked with a contractor and developed this shopping centre to create employment for the local community, but also to improve the road infrastructure all around the community itself. Another good example is that part of the Channel Tunnel rail link was built on our land holding, and as part of the agreement to actually use our land holding, we negotiated that a station should be built both for international but also more importantly for the local domestic residents to enable them to get to London using this high-speed link. And that's just been opened up recently in the last few months. So what it's doing is it's saving people from the local community in that area having to spend an hour and a half travelling into London. they can now jump on the train and it's a 20-minute journey into the centre of London. We have two other projects that have received planning permission that we're currently working with, one in Northern Ireland and one up near Newcastle. And in both of these projects, what we are developing is light industry and housing, both including renewable heating systems, district heating systems for both the industry and for the housing. So that's to create employment, but also to reduce the footprint of this. The former operation in Northern Ireland, we're working to the WWF One World principle. We believe at Lafarge that actions speak louder than talk, and one good example is our head office, which is literally a 5-minute walk from here. We actually designed it and built it to using the thermal mass properties of concrete to significantly reduce heating and cooling bills. When you actually take a typical office now, 80% of the energy used in the life of the office is actually in the operation. Approximately 10–15% is in the actual build and about 5% is in the demolition. And what we did through the use of thermal mass, through the use of ventilation systems, circulation air systems, we've done away, largely speaking, with any air conditioning. We've done away with the majority of the heating requirements. And our office typically uses 40% less than a standard office would do, just through a good design. We also have got planning permission for a Code 6 house, yet again using thermal mass principles, and working with our sister company in the ready-mix side. We developed a project of 6 social houses, and those have thermal mass, they have PVs on the roof, and they actually have a negative energy bill. Each resident is making £200 a year from generating electricity using the PVs, so they don't pay for any energy at that site. We've also were involved in a project where we took a 1930s terraced house, which had, as you can imagine, a very, very poor energy efficiency. And through the use of thermal mass, improved insulation, PVs, ventilation, improved lighting, we predict that the energy saving for that house, which is currently being measured now, will be 80%. So we don't just talk, we actually go out there and get involved and try and come up with solutions to actually reduce the impact of carbon and take things forward. On the health and safety side, we have got programs in place to make sure that senior management are fully engaged with health and safety issues. It's our number one priority at Lafarge, and during 2009 we reduced our lost time accidents by 65% and our medical injuries by 85%. A lot of that was through a visible felt leadership program where we've got our exec team, managers, everybody throughout the organization walking around plants, talking to people about safety, trying to look at ways to make improvements to make everybody's job safer within the organization. Also, we've had a difficult period in these last 2 years. The recession has obviously hit most industries. The construction industry has probably been hit the worst. To give you an idea, the manufacturing volume of cement last year in the UK was the lowest it's been since 1950. So we're talking 60 years ago was the last time we got to these sort of levels. So unfortunately, difficult decisions had to be made throughout the industry, and we had to close 2 of our operations over the last 2 years, resulting in a 34% reduction of our employees. But we set up an agreement right back in 1997, which was one of the first in the world in terms of working closely with our unions, managing these processes and trying to reduce the impact on our employees. And what we've done is the majority of people that had to leave the organisation have gone either on a voluntary redundancy or we've brought forward retirement. So we've virtually minimised the amount of people that had to leave. and we gave the opportunity where those places were created for people to actually move and then take up a new job in one of their other locations within our organisation. On the environment side, we were one of the first companies in Europe to be had to have all of our installations as part of ISO 14001, but also EMAS, the European Eco Management and Audit System. And we've reported publicly targets and performance since 2000. That report broadened into a a CSR report in 2005, and then into a full sustainability report in 2008. Now, this is a report just for our own separate business unit. We've had a global report for the whole company also since the early 2000. In terms of making sure that we are making sure that we, as mentioned before, looking at how we can meet the 80% reduction target for 2050, we are involved in a variety of measures, both to reduce the CO2 emissions currently, but also look at ways forward to try and find ways of actually meeting that 80% target by 2050. In 2008, we already had reduced our absolute emissions by 40% from 1990. That's more than three times the UK Kyoto reduction target for 2010, and more than twice the European CO2 target for 2020. We've included in that emissions last year, we managed to get to a relative emission, so that's a CO2 per tonne of cement, a reduction of more than 20% over the same period. And this has largely been done through investment in terms of new technology. It's been through use of waste fuels, waste raw materials, extenders, and obviously improvements in terms of operation and so on as well. Last year we used over 670,000 tonne of waste materials, working in partnership with other companies to solve their waste problems, but also reducing the fossil fuel uses that we need and some of the raw materials that we use. Other areas we are looking at is looking at new types of cement which are lower in carbon intensity, but also looking at other areas like carbon capture and storage. And we're on the committee for the European Cement Research Association doing research on that at the moment. In addition to that, we are looking at other opportunities such as renewable energy, and we have a planning permission at the moment for 3 2-megawatt wind turbines at one of our operations. In addition to CO2, we've made large improvements in the reduction of particulates, 48% since 2005, nitrous oxides 57% since 2005, 66% SO, sulfur dioxide, and 21% waste, 90% since 2000 in terms of the waste target. We also have done a lot of work on our water footprint. We believe that, as I think a lot of people do, that the next main area of focus after carbon will be water footprints. And we did a project that enabled us to recycle water and reduce any abstraction for one of our works, and that won the 2 top EA awards for water management. We've also done a lot of work on biodiversity, and all our operations are fully have had screening carried out, which is using criteria that was developed jointly with WWF. Procurement, we were the first cement factory to be awarded the BES 6001 responsible procurement, and driving forward we have got other policies in place to make further improvements on that. On the logistics side, we spent over £15 million on new rail infrastructure, and we now move more than 25% of our cement and 15% of our raw materials by rail rather than road, being the highest manufacturer in the UK in terms of cement to do that. We also regularly talk with local communities on issues. We have school visits, we work with schools to actually help them in terms of programs on sustainability and the environment. And in terms of sustainable construction, we were one of the founder members of the Concrete for Sustainable Forum, looking at moving the whole industry forward to improve sustainability. And just lastly, we have developed many JVs with several industries. One is actually also on the finalists, which is our joint operation with Scottish Power for Scottish that looks at reprocessing their waste materials to actually produce materials that can be used in the construction industry. Anyway, thank you very much.